Good morning, good morning, good morning. By now you know the drill. Grab your beverage. I'm using this mug today. Is this not, have you seen this one of mine? I think it is so cute. But right now the coffee's so hot that I can't hold it where it's meant to be held. I'll let it cool a little bit before I take a sip. But grab your beverage and join me on this Tuesday when I talk about a little bit about what I did this weekend. And what I did yesterday. I want to bring you up to speed. If you didn't see my video yesterday, I talked a little bit about something that I want to talk a little more about, and that is safety. Because over the weekend, I did a self-defense class. Now, years ago, 35 years ago, the place that I worked held a self-defense class. And it was so impactful that some of the things that it told me to do, I still do today. And I do it all the time, that it is instinctual for me now. But I found that when I took this self-defense class on, Saturday, that it made me almost sad. Because how sad is it that there were kids in the class? It was a women's self-defense class. And I don't know if he asked the girls to come to demonstrate or because they wanted to. But there are girls learning self-defense as early as 7, 8, 9, 10. That makes me so sad that their innocence is taken away and their sense of safety is threatened to the point where girls are needing to learn self-defense. And I don't know what I was expecting on this one, but in the one that I did 30 plus years ago, they did a lot of avoidance techniques, what to look for. And the gentleman that hosted the one that I went to on Saturday did a little bit of that, but it was a lot more what happens if you can't avoid it, which is frightening. The thought of that is just scary. Like what? What if you wake up and somebody's trying to strangle you? Say what? Yeah. Nightmare. Hope that never happens to me or to you. But they gave you strategies to do to get out of it. What happens if somebody comes up and tries to strangle you? I was like, well, I would hope that nobody would be doing that and that I would see them coming at me, right? But what if you are stuck in that situation? How do you get out? Because some of the things are not instinctual, right? They're things that are taught and need to be practiced and learned. And so practicing and having a plan is important, for God forbid your safety is ever threatened. And now, the thing that he taught was, you put your hand, if somebody was coming at you this way in front of you, you put your hand up and then you come down like this and it breaks their grip. And I said, but if they're 6 foot, I'm 5'3" on a good day. So that's kind of hard, but it does work. It does work. I hope I never need that tool, that technique, that strategy. I hope you don't either. And I said to him in the previous class that I took all those years ago, they told us, and I'm telling you this not to scare you. I'm not telling you this to make you crazy or anxious or worry. I'm telling you this to be prepared. I'm telling you this so that, God forbid, anytime something like this happens, you click in, I remember Amy told me that, right? And for me, back then, the avoidance or, somebody were to attack you, you go for the things that are going to be most painful, right? You go for the groin, you go for the ears, or you gouge their eyes. Or do you know that if you hit somebody's nose like this, that you can almost kill them? Do you know? Because, It's bad. But with all of your might, all of the adrenaline, you doing something like that will be hopefully the pause long enough so that you can get away. And some of the other things in the class a long time ago that they taught back in the day when we wore watches. Do you remember that? Most people don't wear watches that actually like they look at for their time. Normally they're on their phones, right? But back in the day, we wore watches, and and a lot of people would ask what the time was. And what I was taught was not to take your eyes down. Always keep eye contact, because when you break contact, that's when they can do something. And so instead, to take your watch up here and look at it right here as you're looking at their eyes, so that you don't take your eyes off them. Now, what I learned on Saturday was that also is a fence or a barrier between you and the person in front of you if your hand is up here looking at your watch, as opposed to down here, right? So that's a technique, and I hope to never need that. But I do know that there are various things that I have learned over the years, and I'm going to share some of them today because I think that they're super important. And if you didn't see my video yesterday, it's really important that you forward this to someone that might need it, or that you listen up, because there's just things that we want to avoid. We never want to get into a situation where we need to get out of it in that manner, right? And so I remember a long time ago, there was a situation where men were like under your car, and when you would come up to your car, they would grab your ankles and pull you down. I don't know. That was a real thing. And so as I approach my car, especially at night, I look underneath, right, to make sure there's nobody there. This is something that's really scary, like super duper scary. And I hope this doesn't trigger anybody. Trigger alarms or whatever people say. But I remember a story that my mother told me. And I don't remember if it happened to her or someone she knew. But she or the woman was driving home, right? Oh my gosh, it makes me nervous just to tell you the story. Okay, so they're driving home. It's late at night, let's say 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. They're driving home, and they stop at a stoplight, and they look in their rear view, and there are eyes looking back at them. That there was someone in their back seat. Now, what would you do if you stopped at a light, or even worse, you didn't stop at a light? You all of a sudden glanced in your rear view and there were eyeballs poking back at you. Oh my God, it literally gives me chill bumps. Now, because of that story, I always look in my back seat before I get in the car. I always look in my back seat. It's instinctive at this point, because it was a habit that I've done over time, over and over and over and over again, to the point where now it's just a habit. And it's a really good habit to get into. Now, back in the day, we also used to have keys, and we used to be taught to hold our key to the car. Now we have fobs. Nobody has keys anymore, but we used to keep our keys, or our house keys, in between our fingers so that we could use it as a weapon if we needed to. How sad is that? Always good to know. Something else that I want to give you permission. And I don't know where I heard this one. Yeah, I'm not really sure where I heard this one. But there was a story about, was it was going in. So there was a woman that was standing at an elevator, and the elevator doors open, right? The elevator doors open, and there was a person in there that was making her alarms go off. Like, not safe, don't go in there. Have you ever watched a movie and all of a sudden you're watching and the main character is going to go in and there's like a serial killer or bad guy in the space and you're like, "Don't do it. Don't go in there." Have you ever had your alarm system go off? Your intuition, so to speak, warn you, you get a weird feeling in the pit of your stomach. But as the doors open, you don't want to offend the people that are in the elevator. You don't want to hurt their feelings. What? We don't even know them. And yet many women feel this way. So they'll walk into a situation where their alarm bells are going off. So I'm here to give you permission to listen to your alarm system. It's there for a reason. And if your alarms are going off, just say, "Hey, I forgot something. I'll catch the next elevator. Thanks." And turn around and like you're leaving. And then just push the elevator button again for the next elevator. You don't have to get in an elevator if you're not feeling it's a good situation to be in. Now, it also happened that in this class that I took on Saturday, the guy told a story about a girl that was traveling and they were in an elevator. It was a group of girls and many of the girls had rooms on one level, but this one person had a room on like the next level or a couple of floors up. And so they were all in the elevator and with a bunch of different people. And when the elevator door emptied, I guess her alarm system was going off like, you don't want to be in this elevator by yourself. So she got off on the floor where she didn't have a room, just so that she didn't travel in the elevator going up to the floor that she was staying on. If your alarm bells are going off, you don't have to get off at the floor that you pushed. You can stay in the elevator. You can get off on a floor beforehand. You can say, "Oh, I forgot something in my car," and go down to the lobby. You don't have to get out. And you don't have to get in. And you don't have to apologize for not doing it. And hopefully these stories will be a reminder when your alarm system is warning you that you don't have to go into a room, into a car, into an elevator, into a hotel, into a building, into or out of anywhere. You know, there was a time when I walked out of an airport and it was dark and I didn't feel safe. And what did I do? I went back in and asked somebody to walk me to my car. You have the right to do that. You do know that. And so don't ignore your intuition and your alarm system if it's going off. Listen to it. There was also a time, I remember a story that I think my aunt told me. My cousin, many, many moons ago, used to be a ballerina, and she used to dance for, I think it was the American Ballet Theater in New York City. And my aunt, her mother, told me a story about how she was walking on the streets of New York City, and all of a sudden somebody was following her a little bit too closely. And so she ducked into one of their mini mart grocery type stores, because those places are open pretty much 24/7 in New York City. Now, I remembered that story. And later, when I was living in New York, I went through a park at night. Again, not familiar that I shouldn't do that. And I went through the park and I went in by myself, but I left with somebody trailing me. And I remembered that story. And so when I started to get nervous, I walked into one of those mini marts and that person walked on by. Now, maybe they were just in a hurry to get somewhere. Maybe they were not doing anything evil or bad or anything like that. But I didn't have to stick around to find out. I didn't have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I needed to take care of my safety. And in this day and age, it is so sad that as women, we need to think about these things. But we need to think about these things. And so having a plan, something that you know that you would do if, and when you find yourself in a situation, here's another one talking about a situation that you would never imagine. After going to this class, have you ever done something like gone to this class? Like I went to this class and then I got on social media and all of a sudden, all the things that I see have to do with safety. They're Lori Grenier from Shark Tank talking about how to be safe, how to not get in your car and get on social and scroll, and not be aware of your surroundings. You get in your car and go. Don't dilly-dally. There was another one that I saw of a woman. I'm going to share this with you because this is frightening. She said, I never thought this would happen to me. Never thought it would happen to me. But she went in a Walmart to buy a table. And there was a woman that approached her, and the woman was from out of the country. Let's say from South America. It doesn't matter. Somewhere, right? And she walks up to this woman. Let's give the stranger, since stranger begins with S, let's give her the name of Sue. So Sue, this stranger, walks up from another country to this woman that's telling the story and, chats with her a few minutes, and she asks if she'll pray with her and like whatever. And then she unzips her backpack and she takes out these 2 books that are wrapped in plastic wrap, and she hands them to the person telling the story. And as many people do, when someone hands you something, you just take it. And she looked down at the titles of the books, and she didn't have any need for this. She goes, "Oh, I don't have a need for these. Thank you anyway." And she handed the books back. The woman took the books and put them in her backpack. And then they went their separate ways. And really quickly, the woman wasn't feeling well. Now, she didn't really put 2 and 2 together because she decided, I don't know, I'm not really feeling good. You know what? I'm not going to look at tables. I'm not going to buy a table. I'm just going to go to my car and I'll do this another time. Her instinct was to isolate, to like go to the bathroom or go to her car. And as she is starting to make her way there, she looks down an aisle and she sees the woman with the backpack feverishly texting someone. And then she realized that the woman must have drugged her, that there must have been some sort of drug on that plastic wrap. And there must be a partner that was going to grab her, hurt her, kidnap her, whatever. And so in her head, loud and clear, she was like, do not isolate. You need to be in a crowd of people. So she went to the pharmacy in Walmart and there was a bench. And then she sat on the bench and then she heard in her head, screaming loud, make sure that people here know that you are alone. That you are alone. Why? Why would that be important? Because she was not feeling well, and it was all she could do to get the words out. She was like saying her words. She said it was so hard to speak and to keep her consciousness. And what if somebody walked up and said, "Oh, honey, I pulled the car around. Come on. Well, I'll get you home. You'll feel better once you get home." She wasn't with anyone, but that would look normal to the average Joe Schmo, right? But letting the people there know that she's alone and that nobody is there with her made it so that it wasn't a scenario that could take place. And when they could see that something was going on, they called security. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember. I don't know. I think I got interrupted, and I don't know exactly how the situation ended. I don't know if they caught the people. She couldn't even remember what the woman looked like, except that she had long, dark hair. That's it, and a backpack. She couldn't remember. She couldn't really vocalize. But the woman was safe because she didn't do what her instincts told her to do, like, ooh, I must have eaten something bad. I'm going to go to my car. I'll do this another day. Have a plan. I tell you these stories because these stories stick in our heads. And when situations arise, I'm hoping that the bells and whistles and alarms go off in your head to tell you this is not your normal whatever. This isn't your normal I ate something bad. This is something much worse. And to do something that is not instinctual, don't go to your car. Make sure you go and you tell somebody. And, have a plan. Now, she was safe. And I hope that this story that I am repeating allows someone else to be safe as a result of hearing it. Because, damn, that was scary for me to hear. And I'm glad that I went to this self-defense class. They did share a couple of situations. You always want to not be looking down on your phone when you're going out to your car. Make sure you're looking around, because the people who are victims are not the people that are looking aware and alert. They're the ones that are distracted, and aren't really watching. They're the ones that are on their phones. They're the ones that aren't looking around, not alert, not aware. So don't be that person. I'm here to say don't be that person. Cheers. Cheers to us not being that person. Now, if you would, please forward this video to somebody that needs to hear it today, to someone you love and care about, no matter what age, young or old. We all need to be diligent and have a backup plan and a safety plan and listen to our alarm systems. We've been so wired and programmed to not offend people, not hurt people's feelings. And yes, we don't need to hurt people's feelings, but we also don't need to put ourselves in situations with total strangers when it doesn't feel right, when it feels off. So please forward this to somebody who needs to hear it today. Let's keep each other safe. Let's keep each other aware and keep each other out of harm's way. There's so many situations that can be avoided. And if you find yourself in a situation that just couldn't have been avoided, then do everything in your might to fight, to kick, to scream, to cause a scene. Don't be quiet. Don't be quiet. Scream and yell and cause a scene. Do the things that are unexpected. If they think that you're gonna like fight, all of a sudden like lose your legs and just get limp, or kick your feet up behind you, or squiggle like somebody who's having a seizure. Like, think of something that isn't your normal and do that. Do anything you can think of to get out of that situation. And if this has heightened your awareness, I'm glad. I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to fret. I don't want you to lose sleep. I do want you to be aware, and I do want you to be prepared and have a plan and have some ideas to implement should all of a sudden, because it's when we least expect it, right? That lady in Walmart never in a million years expected a woman to come up to her and drug her. Never. I wouldn't have. And yet, that's what happened. So the more stories like this that we can share so that we know what to look out for, the more aware and better off we're all going to be. So that we don't need to learn how to break free, but how to just stay free from them. So I wanted to repeat that from yesterday. I hope that you have a totally terrific Tuesday. I hope that you stay safe. I hope that if you need or feel that you would benefit from a self-defense class, take one. Check with your local police department. They do them. Check with your local like taekwondo, karate. Some of those places hold women's self-defense. Just Google women's self-defense and get armed, get aware, get a plan. Because it's always when we least expect it that something happens. And we never expect it to happen to us. And so have the plan, my friend. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow. See ya.